They love money and success and materialism far more than they love humanity. And when God sits them down and says, look, if you have a choice between keeping all your material wealth and your money and everything that you've been given in this world, this temporal world, this dream, basically, or you could value humanity as I do, um, choose now. What are you going to say? Have you spent any time cultivating, imagining a world entirely without any form of money? Do you care? Is it relevant? Do you see it as stupid and pipe dreaming and idealistic and lacking merit for that reason? Illogical and nonsensical and stupid and lacking, showing a lack of common sense and non-pragmatic. All that stuff that you've been trained, indoctrinated, and inculcated and conditioned and programmed and brainwashed to believe, trained from birth, weaned on that kind of information, that malinformation. That's what it is. It's malignant. Okay? That's what it is. Malevolent. It's malevolent. That's what it is. Malevolent information produced to divide us, to keep us divided. That's what they want. That's the plan. And it's been exceedingly, extremely successful. The power of Satan's ambrosia, i.e., money, cannot be overstated. So basically, I want everyone to understand that I am a fiscal conservative and I am a true capitalist that is willing to do the math with people and prove to them and show them. Because you can't prove me wrong, because it's never been allowed, never been tried in the history of humanity. The evil people cannot resist the elixir, the power, the allure of money. Okay, it's just too enticing for these people. They cannot, it's overly tempting to them. So you get into it. So this is why these people rule over decent humanity. This is how the story goes. And they're willing to sell their conscience. They don't value it. They don't care. This is what puts them in this position. And they preach this. And so this idea of being rendered in their image and likeness is very valid and true. And this is happening at large. A lot of people, whether they're ignorant or not facing it inadvertently, not cognizant of the fact that their master is evil. At the end of the day, if you trace up the chain of whatever career they're into, that's one of these special interest groups that's colluding against the best interests of the public at large, that's into, you know, maintaining the problems and preferably proliferating the problems in the land. Okay, these are them. Yes, your cost of living and your taxes should go down. That's progress, folks. All these industries you're supporting right now that just exacerbate the problems, the debt industrial complex. That's the Federal Reserve. They're at the head of that. And then you've got the military industrial complex. A lot of people will point out the medical industrial complex, how it's not in their interest, for example, to find a cure for cancer. And yes, that's a valid point. There's a lot of people who lose their jobs if a cure was found, because a lot of money is poured into finding a cure. So those people would be unemployed if you did actually find a cure. So I'm not being cynical, okay? I'm just pointing out the facts and just the facts, okay? This is the way it is. You got the criminal industrial complex. A lot of people would be out of work, okay, if the crime plummeted because you ended desperate poverty, okay, the dubious warfare. So I'm just showing how fiscally prudent it would be to just prevent desperate poverty in the first place. And the basis, the justification, is for the ideals of guys like Martin Luther King Jr., okay, and Jesus Christ and JFK, all good egalitarians, godly, powerful men of conscience and virtue and goodness. And so I'm a big proponent of setting the captives free. But the basis is that this earth is God's. And in light of the fact that this earth is God's, that means we all have an inherent divine right, divine inheritance here, a right to share in what God gave us. God gave us what human beings need to survive, what we need to build our shelters, our homes. God gave us what we need to subsist, to exist with food, putting fish in the sea and fruit in the tree and grain in the field and vegetables in the gardens. Okay? It's God that did these things, no man. Okay? Money was not invented by God. It was invented by evil men, you understand, to steal your wealth and his wealth and her wealth, our wealth, the wealth of a nation, the wealth of the willing workers out there. Okay? And it's immoral, it's wrong, it's unethical, it's ungodly. And a lot of people are going to hell. And any of them that support this trajectory we're on to death and destruction, uh, I'm telling you, I mean, this is about eternal salvation. So that's my plea at the end of the day. Understand? And the social welfare industry. How many people would be unemployed if checks were sent directly to people and we didn't need the entire, do away with it? You understand? All those people. So, yes, I am a fiscal conservative, and I'm one that's willing to do the math. And let's talk about it reasonably and logically, sensibly, okay, as Americans, as human beings that claim to be Christians and care about virtue and values and doing the right thing and being upright and decent human beings, being numbered among the righteous. Okay, that's the message we have to bring forth. That's the cross we have to bear to everyone. And we got to stop condemning our enemies and stop talking that way and taunting them and giving them just what they want, showering them with chocolates and potpourri and flowers metaphorically when you hate your enemy or condemn them or overly judge them too harsh. Okay? No, it's about reaching out to them with an olive branch, right? And saying, no, jump ship, man. Stop being evil. Yeah, point out the evils. Point out the rotten fruits. Have nothing to do with them, but expose them. We have an obligation to do that. It's carrying our fair share away to the cross. It's not a religious thing, but it's a freedom thing. It's a happiness thing. And knowing that none of us are going to go alone. And if you try to divorce yourself and you're just bent on that, say, no, I'm just gonna bury my head deeper and deeper in the sand every time I feel those urges to have a conscience and to really care about who my boss is at the very top of the chain, you know, um, and face the music and be a good, decent human being. Um, well, then, it's going to take beating your head against the wall until you smash your head because you're not going to break the wall. Fall on the stone. My advice is fall on the stone. Learn the teachings of Christ. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. If somebody said, oh, you're religious, oh, you're a Christian, oh my God, oh, how dare you, hey, see, you know what? Whose opinion really counts? Be true to yourself. If you want to learn what Jesus taught, you have a right to learn it. Get a red letter edition Bible and study it. And, come to your own conclusions. Do your own research. When it comes to economics, do your own research. I invite you, read Adam Smith's book, The Wealth of Nations. Read it through. Pick out those nuggets that I've picked out that I can recall a handful of them. If I could recall more, I'd share more with you. But, sometimes you just have to read the book. But it's getting through a lot of excruciating minutiae in the book, I readily admit. But it's worth it to pick out the empowering tidbits, the nuggets in there that just, have that ring of truth and logic and knowing that this guy that devoted his life to study these things. Okay, but it's the same thing. We've got neo-feudalism today, the rent of the land. He talks a lot about this. But it's reached a fevered pitch now where you're either a landlord or you're a tenant. And California is setting the trend for the rest of the nation. The investors are coming to your town to dramatically raise your cost of living. If you're a homeowner, you say, hey, so what? It's capitalism. You'll just say, but it's not. It's crony capitalism. They're manipulating markets and socializing. This is it. The other people's money, socializing the debt. They go in debt. They make you pay. They privatize. So the profits go in their pockets, Section 8 and all this. It's raising your cost of living tax, your cost of housing, creates a chain reaction. So even if you've got a zero housing cost, everything you got to buy is tied into it because everybody else has to pay a higher housing cost. So you got to pay more for everything. Do you understand? And that is where it started. Cause and effect. One thing leading to another. A chain reaction. So understand these fundamental economic principles I try to teach. Be empowered. Be intellectually honest and go out there and fight the good fight for truth. And don't let people shrink away from it. Say, look, no, I'm not a socialist. That might sound like a socialist value, but I can't help it if the liberals somehow benefit in this equation. What's wrong with being a good liberal? Nothing. Absolutely not. So what's wrong with being a fiscal conservative? Nothing. If you want to get my taxes less, we should be working together. We need not be divided. Our goals and interests should be the same. But they don't want us to get that. They don't want you to see that. They want you to all think it's political. It's all about Democrat, Republican.